Yeah, very good evening, everyone. So I believe everyone is joined in the session, and today we are going to take the asked questions and from around India and world for the robotics and AI. So in 5 minutes, we are going to start the session. Wait for our instructions. Yeah, very good morning, everyone. Very good evening. So I hope everyone is doing great today. And today we are going to cover the aspect of the competition, and also we'll discuss the about the robotics in details. So I believe everyone is ready for the same. So in mid between, I would like to mention one thing that is very important. That if you do have any questions, then you can drop your questions in the comment box in our live stream channel, in our YouTube blog, and all. So our team member will answer it shortly. So first, let me start and we share my screen with you all so that we can continue our journey in the robotics and AI. So I believe my screen is visible to all of you. So as you can see, today we came here to discuss the key aspect for the robotics and artificial intelligence, as well as especially we are going to focus on the competition organized by the ICSE board members, the Inter School Competition for the same. So I believe many of you are struggling a lot finding this solution for your problem, like whether your line following bot is not working properly and something is happening with the bot. So in this session, you will get a complete insight on the details, such as the details about the microcontroller, the IR sensors, which is required for the line following application, and also you will clearly understand the uses of motor drivers in our day-to-day life while developing a bot and why we need that actually. So apart from that, we will focus on the arena itself and try to like come up with the solution, like how to complete the arena in minimum possible time, because the key aspect for the prelims qualification is the minimum possible time to complete the arena. That's all. So board members actually allowed us to complete the arena in 60 seconds. But as you know, that's the maximum time limit you can consider for your bot to complete the arena, and you have to like complete it in minimum possible time. Like if you are below 30 seconds, then you are in a good zone, and if you are not below the 30 seconds, then I believe you will struggle a lot to qualify the first round of the competition. So let's discuss the robotics in detail first, and then we will jump into the circuitry connections and all, and also I will guide you throughout the programming part. Okay, so first, let's focus on one of the topic which is very much important for all of us in this journey, that is robotics and AI, right? So all the time we do have one question in our mind, that what does it means actually? Suppose if we are talking about the robotics part, so robotics does have its own domain, and apart from this, we do have robots, and parallelly we do have the AI, you can say. And after all, in robotics section, we do have several classifications for the robot, like specifically based on the place we'll deploy it, and also the conditions we are like going to cover through that particular robot. So robotics is all about an interdisciplinary branch of science and technology, which helps us to develop the robots for our day-to-day life uses. So if you like talk in terms of the robot, then we can simply say robot are the devices or the smart intelligent machines which is nothing but a combination of mechanisms which helps us to reduce our day-to-day tasks, right? So as if I ask a simple question, like whether it is possible for you to like dive deep into the ocean, or like explore the space, or do some of the hazardous work. Suppose if you have to work closely nearby to the atomic nuclear reactor or something like that, then for a normal human being it is not possible for us to go with the same, because the harmful rays is not suitable for us, or it is not meant to a human cell to survive in front of it, right? So basically robot is one of these smart machine, we can say, which can be programmed through various mean of programming languages we do have with us. Either you can use C++, Java, and also the Python part is most interesting thing to consider while like designing and programming the robots. So robot is nothing but combination of mechanism which helps us to reduce our effort. So in robot, we do have three key components to consider all the time, like similar to the computer system, as I already mentioned in my previous few classes, that we do have three of the parts specifically in robots. So first thing we do have is input devices, and second we do have the processing unit or central processing unit. If we take the similarity from the computer system and the robotics, you will find both of them are something similar, but the nomenclature is completely different, which I'm going to explain in a minute. And after that, we do have the output device. So if we are talking about the input devices in our robotics structure, then we are clearly mentioning, we are referring to the term sensors. So sensors are nothing but the devices which will help us to like gather the information from the environment, and based on that information, further sensor will throw that information to the processing unit. And in robotics, we usually call it as brain of robotic system, or you can call it by other names such as microcontrollers, or the other name of the devices which does have the microcontroller in it, known as development boards. So commonly we were using the development boards. An example of some of the development boards are, most common one is the Arduino boards, and there are plentiful of variety of it present in the market, like Uno and Nano. Apart from the Nano, and other varieties are also available, that is Mega. So if you are like limited with your term and condition with the like limited number of sensors and other devices are there, then and Nano will serve the purposes. But if you require more things to like interact with the brain of the robotic system, then obviously the high-end microcontroller will help you on that. So output device, we are referring to different kind of actuation system and locomotion system, as I mentioned earlier in my earlier classroom program. So actuation and locomotion is all about like an element which is responsible to produce the motion in the robotics structure. So we can take the example of the actuation and locomotion system, such as the motors, you can say it. And apart from the motion producing element, we do have other mean of output production, such as the LED to produce the output in form of light, and a speaker to produce the output in form of sound. So these are the key component of any robotics structure. So coming to the point, okay, fine. So now what we do have is the comparison between the robotics structure and the human being. Like we do have similar things compared to the robots. Like we do have perception ability, we do have sensing ability and cognition ability, and further we do take the actions based on the perception and sensing, right? So similarly, the robots can do the same, because we human are like developing the things which are readily available in the internet or nearby, like in our surrounding. Like we are trying to replicate those things in form of machines. So vehicles were made to like reduce our workload, like to transport one of the goods, like heavy goods from one place to another, right? Similarly, we are making the robots to like to be implemented in a places, machine structure to be implemented in a place where human beings are unable to perform the task. That is the major goal you can consider for the robotics development or robot development. So robot does have sensors through which it gathers the information, and perception is all about the algorithm we are going to place inside the robotics brain, and further cognition is the logic written inside the program, and based on the logic and sensing coming out from the environment, it will take the action in form of like motion producing element, in form of light producing element, and also we do have sound producing elements. So these kind of things we can consider in robotics and robots. So apart from this, if you take one of the example like the driverless car, it does have like plentiful of things in it, right? That is how it is like driving without need of any driver. But let me clarify one thing before jumping into this example, the driverless car. Whenever we are referring to the robotics, that does the this particular word does have two of the branches. Two of the branches means we are referring to two types of robotics, that is manual robotics you can say, and the second one is autonomous robotics. So why I'm saying there are two types of robotics, because manual robotics is one of the like type of the robotics in which we try to control the parameters or the output devices and other things using the common switches present in the market, and also the usual way, like using the wire connections and all in between the robotics structure, wire and switches. But autonomous robotics is like something intelligent version of the robotics, in which the algorithm is only responsible to like guide the entire robotic structure to achieve a task or complete a task in minimum possible time, right? That is what we call the autonomous robotic. And in ICSE board inter school competition, basically they are asking us to like build this autonomous robotics for now for the prelims round. But obviously in the final round they are going to ask you for the manual robotics development. So either you can use the robotics structure with the combination of switches and wires, and apart from these you can also like go for the wireless kind of communication medium in between the remote and the transmitter and the receiver pair, through which you are going to control the car from one place and accomplish the task. There were three tasks given by the board members, right? So three tasks were to like place the wall, place the roof, and third one is to place the flag on top of the wall. And also we do have several categories in it. Like first of all, you have to like choose your roles. You can become the gatekeeper in there. So you have to insert the key, then only the other task will be there in front of you to complete it from your end. Okay, so we are going to deal with the autonomous robotics for in this journey. Okay, so coming back to the point example, the driverless car does have a sensor unit which collects the information from the surrounding, and it helps the microcontroller inside of it, or we cannot say that exactly the microcontrollers are placed inside of these cars. So we do have two things to consider. So we do have microcontrollers and we do have microprocessors, right? So anyone knows the difference between microcontroller and microprocessors? So comment down your answers in the comment box so that our team can revert back with yes or no, whether it is okay or not. So now coming back to the point, microcontroller and microprocessor. Suppose if we do require less amount of data processing, then we will use the microcontroller on that case. Okay, so low level data processing, it does not require any sophisticated operating system, and the program we do write for the microcontrollers are commonly known as RTOS, the real time operating system, which we are going to write today in our embedded C++ platform. And specifically embedded C++, the time when I'm referring to embedded C++ means we are talking about one of the compiler which is very compatible with these kind of microcontrollers, that is the Arduino IDE. So Arduino IDE is one of the compiler which converts the general language to the machine code for the microcontrollers. That is the main point to consider in microcontroller. And the time when we require less amount of automation or very defined, well-defined automations, then we will use microcontroller in that place. But sometimes the processing and the sensor collects the data more compared to the microcontroller can process. So on that case, what we will try to use the microprocessor. So these kind of cars, like the driverless car or autonomous system, does utilizes microprocessor in it, because microprocessor are tend to like go for higher range of calculations. Means microprocessor can do like 100 times microprocessor is 100 times faster than the microcontrollers, and it is, yes, the costlier one to like consider. So it is not good for your small projects. That is the reason we are going to focus on microcontroller on. Okay, fine. So I believe the law of robotics and everything has been cleared earlier from our side. So let's focus on the basic components which is required to build our autonomous driving car, the line following what. One of the example, they asked us to complete and record a video to get up to be uploaded on their website, and some of the link they provided, right? So now if you like look into the IR sensor. So IR sensor obviously falls inside the category of sensors, different type of sensors we do have. And as the name implies, we are talking about one of the sensor, that is infrared sensor. So obviously, as the name implies, you can understand one thing out of it, that infrared sensors are basically one of the type of obstacle detection sensor which works with the infrared radiation. So remember the time when I explained earlier, we do have two categories in sensors. Those are the active type of sensors and passive type of sensors. So passive type of sensor are those which is collecting the information directly from the environment, such as light intensity and other factor. But active type of sensor are those sensor which actually generates its own signal first, and upon reflection from the any object in front of it, it reflects back those signals to sensor. And one end in active type of sensor, we do have two of the things, that is transmitter and receiver. So transmitter is responsible to transmit the frequency into the atmosphere, and upon reflection from the obstacle, the receiver end receives it and informs the brain that something is there in front of it. And how the brain will know that something is there in front of it or not? So you can see we do have three of the pins available in this IR sensor, right? The out pin, GND, and VCC. So whenever you see VCC, then we are talking about the positive part of the power source. Okay, and this particular sensor works well with the 5 volt. So we will always connect this sensor to the 5 volt pin of our Arduino. The GND is all about the negative polarity present in our microcontroller or the development board, and it will be connected to the GND of the microcontroller. And out pin is one of the pin through which we are going to get the output. Suppose if there no obstacle present in front of the sensor, then we will simply get 0 in return, because it will just omit the off condition. Okay, and if something is there, then we are going to receive 1 from the sensor. through this output pin. Okay, and one is actually helping us to know that it is in on condition. And in programming, we usually try to refer with the low and high syntax to represent 0 and 1. That is the main condition you have to understand. So if any obstacle is there in front of it, then we will get high value. If there is no obstacle in front of the IR sensor, then we will get the low value. Okay, so let's discuss the IR sensor in detail. So we do have power LED mounted on board. So if you supply the positive and if you supply the negative, then this power LED will light up and inform you that the sensor is receiving the power from the power source. Okay, and distance adjust port. So this one is main thing to consider in your development of the line following bond. The reason is because sometimes what will happen, your sensor will not respond properly. Okay, sensor will not respond properly, or it will take the reading unevenly, and it will like light up without any reason. So you have to adjust this potentiometer. Pot is the short form of the potentiometer, and this particular pot is to adjust the sensitivity of the sensor. So always you have to adjust the sensitivity before like putting your bot into the work. Okay, then only you will get a clear picture and a good output from the sensor. Otherwise, what will happen? Uneven responses will be generated from the robotics structure, and that I believe you don't never want to see coming out as a response from your robotics structure, right? As I explained earlier, the active type of sensor does have transmitter side and receiver side, right? The transmitter will transmit the electricity, transmit the signal directly to the atmosphere, and upon reflection, the receiving end will receive it and inform further that something is there in front of it, right? So IR transmitter or emitter LED is responsible to like generate the IR frequency, like to broadcast the IR frequency into the atmosphere. And if there is any obstacle in front of it, then what will happen? The rays will fall back to the IR receiver, and it will inform the brain in the form of one as an output, like high condition from the output. Okay, so this is the condition of IR sensor in our line following part. Okay, so most of the time you will not understand like the difference between the active and passive, and this particular animation will help you understand the overall working feature of this IR sensor. So in IR sensor, we do have, as I mentioned earlier, emitter and receiver. You can see through this animation clearly what is happening. IR emitter is transmitting that IR frequency into the atmosphere. If any obstacle is coming in front of it, then it is sending it back to the IR receiver, and further we are going to get the high value on the output. Okay, so now coming back to the point. So actually, there is one problem with this sensor, and the reason why I'm saying it is a problem because we are talking about the light spectrum, right? Light spectrum in which we do have IR rays as well. So you know well that black bodies are the great absorber of each and every spectrum of light, right? So if I just show the white light to the black surface, then it will absorb everything. That is the reason it appears black in color, right? So IR sensor will not work in black surfaces. Means whenever a black surface will come in front of the IR sensor, means we are going to get 0 as an output or low value from the output pin. Okay, so that is the reason it is mostly suitable for the line following application. And this particular sensor always, you maybe you've already seen the arena in which white surface we do have, and in arena you've seen one of the circular path is there, right? And this circular path is black in color. So this circular path is black in color. So what will happen? Suppose if the sensor falls into this black path, then obviously we are going to get a 0 value. And if the sensor is in white condition like here and here, then we are going to get 1 out from it. And basically we have to guide our bot according to the condition we are going to have in our arena, and this kind of a structure commonly known as arena. So you have to test your bot in your arena before like going for the competition, and this time we don't have to like run the bot in their premises or in the competition area. We only have to submit the video for the ICSE competition. So I believe everyone can make the arena. And many of the question I seen in the group itself, like someone was asking like, shall we go for the A0 paper or A1 paper to like print out with this. So my suggestion is to not waste money and time on like printing those things into the paper, because usually you will not find any printers which can print A0 and A size of papers, right? That is like complex to get. But if you are getting those things from the market, then you are lucky, I believe, and you can proceed with the same. So usually what we do as a from the student point of view, you can take one chart paper, you can take a white chart paper, and also you can purchase some of the black chart papers and cut out the portion like this circular one and place it on top of it. Either way, you can use one more thing. If you do have white floor in your home or school, then you can just place the black sellotape on top of it with the specified diameters, which I'm going to discuss in a minute. So those things, those stickers you can place on the floor, and your bot will move fluently without any problem. Okay, so this is how you are going to get the outcome for this arena. So you don't have to rush. We do have enough time, like 20th of this month is the last date to submit the videos. So make sure to submit the video in prescribed format. But if you like come up with the chart papers, then the result will be different compared to the floor and other arrangements such as sellotape. Some of the sellotape you will find in the market are too shiny in nature. So what will happen? It will reflect back those rays to the higher receiver, and your sensor will not work properly. So the best suggestion is to utilize the chart paper in between. Okay, that is the main thing to consider. Okay, fine. So now after this, we do have other things to consider in this one. Okay, not in this one. Okay, fine. So let me help you with the connections. Okay, before jumping into the connections, let me clear some of the things. Okay, let me open up my. This one is the basic. Let's discuss about the chassis part. So every robotics structure, every robotics things like the electronic we discussed, like we need sensors, uh, we need sensors, we need processing unit, brain of robotic system, we need output. Obviously, we need some of the wires to interconnect, have everything. But where we are going to place it, that is the main question to consider, right? So for the accommodation of these parts into one of the piece, we call it as the chassis. Chassis is nothing but the body of a robotics structure. Right now in front of you, this one is a simple three-wheel drive chassis along with the motors and everything. So we have to stick to it, and this one is also one of the bodies. So this transparent one you can see in your screen is the body of the robotics structure, or simply in technical term we will call it as chassis of the robotic system. Okay, apart from this, we do have the wheels with us, which is mounted on the motors. The yellow colored thing is here is the motor, and sorry, the white colored thing is here, in here is the motors, and the yellow thing just after the motor is the gear drive. So these motors are commonly known as geared BO motors, geared battery operated motors. Okay, so now what we do have is this white color wheel in front of this chassis, right? As I mentioned, this chassis is three-wheel drive chassis, 3WD chassis. So this particular wheel in front of it is commonly known as caster wheel. Okay, caster wheel, or we can call it by other name as well. We can call it as multi-directional wheels. So this thing, this particular wheel can help you like in line following application. You don't have to use four of the motors to like go for the arena. You can just utilize one caster wheel in front of it, but it is totally dependent on you to choose the four-wheel drive in your application. If four-wheel drive is working perfectly, then go for it. If three-wheel drive is working perfectly in your case, then go for it. And you can see one battery holder is there on top of it, right? So these are the AA batteries holder. You don't have to use the AA batteries in your journey. You don't have to use the 9-volt battery. Okay, always utilize the lithium ion battery, and specifically the model is 18650. Okay, just allow me a second, please. Okay, sorry for my bad. Okay, fine. So always you have to utilize the lithium ion battery in your journey. And one thing I would like to know, I would like to mention one thing, that your each and every questions will be answered at the end of this session. And I'm going to cover the entire thing first. Then I will take your questions from the comment box, because right now it is not visible in my screen. So if you're commenting out anything in the comment box, then extremely sorry for that. Okay, just allow me a few minutes so that I can complete the entire chapter for your ease of understanding. Then we will jump into the question answer round, where I will clarify the doubts. If you are facing any problem with the programming part, then I will help you on that. Okay. So now coming to the point, we are talking about the lithium ion batteries and why we should use them, because lithium ion batteries are the rechargeable ones, right? So one time you have to use it, you can utilize it for n number of times. You can recharge it again and again for the same. Okay, so 18650 is the model number you can use, and there are two types of case available in the market. That is a two-cell battery case and three-cell battery case. So both of these cell case you can utilize in this application, and it will work perfectly. So my preferred case you can proceed with will be the three-cell battery case, because one battery does have the potential of 3.7 volts. So we are connecting the batteries in series. So what will happen? V equivalent will be 3.7 plus 3.7 plus 3.7. So all in total, we are going to get how many? So 21, 11, 11.1 volt, which is actually required for our application. So if you are getting this much of voltage, then you are good to go with your battery case. But in two-cell battery case, we are only going to get 7.4 volt in total. So I believe this three-cell battery holder will do the work. Even though two-cell battery case is fine for this application, it will work, but the speed you wish to achieve in this bot will not be achieved through two-cell battery case. Okay, so make sure to use the three-cell preferably, or otherwise if you don't have the three-cell, you can go with the two-cell battery case. Okay, but never use the AA batteries and 9-volt batteries, because it is going to ruin everything. 9-volt battery will show you the potential of 9 volt, but the time when you apply the load in it, then what will happen? Voltage will reduce to 7 volts, 3 volt, 2 volt, or something like that. So it is not preferable to use 9-volt battery or AA or AAA batteries in your application. Okay, so that's the condition. Okay, apart from this, what we do have other components as well. Let me open up the other components. So okay, let's discuss about the microcontroller. Okay, then we will jump into the motor driver and we will focus on the programming part. So as you can see, each and every one of you are using the Arduino Uno board, and I do have very well elaborated picture in front of all of you, so that you can take a screenshot, or this video will be available in our YouTube platform. So later on you can go for the same, take a quick reference from this pin diagrams. Okay, so major thing you have to consider, remember the time, the first I mentioned that this one is not the microcontroller, but we will call it as development board only. Okay, so development, why the reason why we are calling it as development board, because microcontroller is one of the subset of the development board. So you can see one of the ICs placed in this board is the microcontroller. So these microcontrollers are reprogrammable, means you can rewrite the programs for n number of time as per your choice and dedication to the robotics. It's totally up to you. So in microcontroller side, in microcontroller, we do have this IC. In development board, we do have different units. So let's discuss it one by one so that you will get a complete understanding on what it is all about. Okay, so we do have one of the jack present in here. This one is the DC jack, and the permissible voltage allowed through this jack is 7 volt to 12 volt DC. The reason why we do have the DC jack, because suppose after the programming, after you uploaded the programming, you wrote the programming, you uploaded the programming, then you will not you will not leave your microcontroller be connected with your computer system, right? Because you are not going to move your complete bot along with your computer devices. So all the time you have to get it connected with the power source, independent power source, either the battery or the adapter. So this particular junction or the female DC jack will help you to supply the power to this development board. Okay, Apart from this, we do have dedicated power section on the left hand side. You can see we do have other pins as well that is not connected: IQ, reference voltage, and reset. So skip the three of them for now. Let's focus on the 3.3 volt, 5 volt, and GND. So the reason why we do have power pins in our microcontroller board or the development board, because all of the sensors you are going to use in your robotics journey does require power to operate. Okay, does require power to control to operate. So where from where the sensor will get the power, that is the main question you have to understand. So this power section will help you to like feed the power from the development board to the sensor part itself. Okay, so 3.3 volt, the reason why we do have 3.3 volt, because some of the sensor does require 3.3 volt only, not more than that, not less than that. So that is the reason we do have 3 volt, 3.3 volt. We do have 5 volt pin. Most of the sensor works with the 5 volt power supply. So that is the reason we are going to use 5 volt. And even though the IR sensor you are going to utilize in your line follower journey, the IR sensor requires 5 volt to work with. Okay, so this 5 volt where we will get from this particular pin. So 5 volt output. We do have ground pin, and commonly you will see the ground is not written in full, but instead of ground, it is written in short like G and D. Okay, so whenever you see G and D, that means we are talking about the negative polarity from the power source. Okay, and also we do have input voltage, and in your Arduino board, you will see it as VIN pin. So VIN pin is nothing, but it is directly connected with this female jack. Means whatever the power you will supply from here, it will be here. It will reflect here as well, because these two pins are interconnected. Okay, so if you are going to use the battery casing, then the positive wire of the battery case will be connected to this VIN pin, and negative wire will be connected to the ground pin. That is the condition of this power section. So you can supply the power from these pins as well to your microcontroller. Okay, so just below the power section, what we do have is the analog input section. So many of the time I explained earlier, like we do have two type of sensor present in this world. That is, some of the sensor works with the analog signals, some of the sensor works with the digital signals. Okay, so analog sensors are specifically, we are going to connect the analog sensor specifically to the analog input pins, and you will see in your Arduino board that it is written analog in section rather than these analog pins 0, 1, 2, 3. It will be written as A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, something like that. Okay, so on the top side we do have this particular USB port through which we are going to upload the program. Obviously, we are going to write the program to the microcontroller. So this USB port will help us on that. And on the right hand side, you do have the pin ranging from 0 to 13. So these pins are commonly known as I/O pins, and we are talking about the input and output pins in here. Means either you can take the input from the sensor devices, either the sensors are of analog type or digital type, you can take the input from it. And specifically if you are taking the input from the analog sensor, then I will suggest you to like go for the analog input section rather than the digital section, because digital sections are not well, what we can say, what not well versed with the analog input thing. So it will work properly with the digital pins on. So these IO pins are commonly known as digital input and output pins, and here we can connect the sensors as well as we can connect the output devices for our purpose. But make sure not to utilize the same pin for two purposes. Means if you are utilizing the pin number 2 to like connect your IR sensor into it, then we won't use this pin number 2 for other purposes in the same project. Okay, always make sure to limit one pin for one purpose, not more than that. Okay, utilize other pin for the same. If you want to like connect other things like the output devices and other things, then you should go with the other pin configuration present in the development board. Okay, so I believe okay, one more thing to consider in this here. Okay, we do have one reset button. Suppose if your program is not behaving properly, or your bot is moving like this, or randomly there it is wobbling, then you should hit the reset button, because reset button is something similar to the restart button in our computer system, right? So this will restart the microcontroller, and if any problem is there, then I believe it will fix the issue with the same. But if your program is not right, then it is not going to help in a longer run. Okay, so you have to make sure that your program is correct and the logic is good, then only your program is going to work. And sometimes the hardware device do not work properly, even though those are the costly things, but sometimes the electronic things are tends to like misbehave, or it won't operate properly. On that case, you should hit the restart button, then only your microcontroller will resume its process and it will start reading the code line of instructions from line 1. Okay, so this is all about the microcontroller. Now let's jump into the other part. That is the motor driver. That is the most important aspect. Okay. Earlier, I believe my screen is visible again with the motor driver. So earlier I explained that the microcontroller and the power requirements along. Okay, one thing I missed, that even though like you are feeding the development board 7 volt to 12 volt from the battery power source, but the power requirement from the micro volt is around 5 volt on. Okay, so it does not takes more than the 5, right? And specifically the time when you will see the configuration of the motors, then you will see that motor does require 7 volt to 12 volt approximately to work with. Okay, 5 volt directly won't work. So what we have to do, we have to add one of the amplification medium in between, then only we will get higher power factor coming out from the amplification medium, right, to operate the motor. So for that purpose, we do have different type of motor drivers, you can say. This one is motor driver, and we do have motors sealed as well. So each and everything serves the same purposes, but it totally depends on your requirement, like which type of the project you are working with. Okay, which type of project you are working with, and what are the categories of sensors you are using, what are the output devices you are using. Based on that, we will choose motor sealed or motor drivers. So motor drivers are the common thing you can consider, and the simpler thing you can consider to amplify the voltage to operate the motors. Any sort of motors you can operate from the motor drivers. Okay, so now coming to the point. So what will happen, microcontroller will supply 5 volt as an output, and further it will like dump into this motor driver, and we will get 7 volt to 12 volt as per the battery pack we are using to like power up our devices. Okay, so it works in between the range of 7 volt to 12 volt. So you don't have to worry whether you are using 2 cell battery or 3 cell battery holder, because 7 volt is the minimum power requirement. And even though with 2 batteries, you are going to get 7.4 volt in total. So it will work fluently without any issue so far. Okay, but actual RPM won't be achieved until and unless you will supply 12 volt to this motor driver. Okay, suppose if your motor does have a RPM rating of 200 RPM, then it will only achieve the 200 RPM when you will supply 12 volt to it. So be careful what you are choosing to power up your devices and how you are placing the things inside the assembly. So in motor driver, we do have these 6 pins which will be connected to microcontroller. So means microcontroller will generate the output to these pins first. Okay, so ENB and ENA is the activation of left hand side motor, and right hand side motor. So if we like control the power to these pins, then we can able to adjust the speed of the motors. Okay, so if we give high into these to two of the both of the pins, then we will get maximum output coming from the out 1 pin, out 2 pin, out 3 pin, and out 4 pin. So let me clarify it based on the uh, chassis we do have. So we do have 2 of the motors being placed in the chassis, one of the caster wheel in here. So this one is caster wheel, and this one is motor from the left hand side. This one is one of the motor from the right hand side. So 2 wires are coming from left hand side, 2 wires are coming from the right hand side motor. So what we will do, we'll connect the wire left hand side motor wire to out 1 and out 2. Okay, and we will do the same for the right hand side. It will be connected to out 3 and out 4 like this. Okay, and further this 6 pin will be connected to microcontroller, and we will write the program to like operate the motor. So 3 and 4 is responsible to the out 3 and out 4, means right hand side motor, and 1 and 2 is responsible for the left hand side motor, and E and A and E and B is responsible to activate the right hand side motor, and ENA is responsible to activate the left hand side motor. With also we can control the speed of left hand side motor, we can control the speed of right hand side motor with ENA and ENB respectively. Okay, so what about the power connection? You will see 3 pins are there in front of you, that is marked with 12 volt, GND and 5 volt, right? So we do have one of the regulator which actually converts the 12 volt to 5 volt to like help our microcontroller run. So in Arduino, we see in earlier in power section, we do have V-in pin and GND pin, right? So V-in will be connected to this 5 volt power source, and GND will be connected to the GND of this motor driver. And further, suppose if you do have like this battery pack, and from the battery pack the red 2 wires are coming, this one is red wire and this one is a black wire, then red wire will be connected to the 12 volt pin in here, and the black wire will be connected to the GND pin in here. So this is how you can supply the power from the battery to the motor driver, and from motor driver you have to supply the power to your microcontroller. But remember, the time when you are like putting your battery inside of the battery casing, it should not, the microcontroller should not be connected with the other mean of power source, otherwise your microcontroller will not respond properly, or sometime what will happen, it will burn out. So make sure not to feed the power from two of the sources. Suppose if you are going for the USB power supply, then go for the USB power supply only. And if you are relying on the battery power supply, then after completion of your programming only, you just have to connect the motor, the battery pack or the battery casing for the same. Okay, so everyone got confused because of the bill of material provided by the council members, right? But those are the actually required things for all of you. So through those components, you can actually build something good out of it, right? So earlier they suggested to go for the uh, that ammo motor side, I believe, right? Wait, they suggested one more motor, that was the, apart from the BO motor, there was one more motor in the bill of material. Let me open the bill of material once. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, let me open up the other thing for the same. Okay, sorry. So you have to, as you can see, as I was like mentioning, sorry, my voice was mute earlier. So I was saying the N20 motors were the one which was suggested by the council members. So 200 RPM N20 motors. So this one does have the 200 RPM. And apart from this, the BO motor they suggested does have the 100 RPM. So obviously you can see the difference, right? 100 RPM is less compared to the 200 RPM. So if you use the N20 motors, then you will get more speed in your board compared to the BO motors. But it's totally dependent on your decision whether you wish to go for the BO motors or with the N20 motors. Totally dependent on your judgment. Okay, so if you're comfortable with the chassis and the BO motors you do have, then you go with that one. If you are comfortable with developing your own chassis and come up with the solution, we then use the N20 motors. It's totally up to you. And those parts were suggested by the team members is actually very accurate and very precise, because these particular things you are going to use after the prelims line, and this will be the thing you have to like gather it from the market if you have not done so, because these battery packs like the orange battery does have more capacity compared to the lithium ion batteries, which I was like explaining earlier, like 18650 model batteries, right? So these three cell batteries can last longer compared to three pieces of lithium ion batteries we were using earlier. Okay, so those are the lithium ion, and this one is the lithium polymer battery. But make sure to purchase the charger from the market as well, because without the E3 or B3 charger, these battery won't recharge itself using the conventional mean of charging. Okay, so try to use the E3 or B3 charger. So these were the parts, and equally each and every parts is important in this case. Let's jump into the other part of this journey. So I'm going to share my another screen. Uh, I believe everyone understood the chassis and all, right? So let me come back to the YouTube to like check the comment section and all, so that I will help you answer. I will help with your question and all. Okay, so what is the difference between robotics and AI? Yes, Madhvi ma'am, you asked one of the question like what is the difference between the robotics and AI. So robotics is all about like the development of robotic structure. Means obviously both of the thing does have the programming in it, right? AI also requires the programming part. Robotics also requires the programming part. But specifically, robotics is only a branch of science and technology which helps us to deal with the development of robot, but not with the AI. Okay, if you are trying to ask the question in comparison of robot and artificial intelligence, then I can say robot is one of the combination of mechanism which helps us to reduce our effort in different domain, like hazardous toxic environment and a place where a human being are unable to perform the task. Okay, and something else we do have. Okay, so artificial intelligence. So what about the artificial intelligence? If we are talking about the artificial intelligence, then we are referring to one of the advanced machinery. We are referring to the advanced machinery or advanced form of robotics or a robot which can take their own decision. So each and every robot does require instructions from the human being in form of programming, but artificial intelligence does not require it. So we do have three categories of AI in it. As I explained, the robotics does have two categories: the manual robotics and autonomous robotics. Artificial intelligence unit does have three of the categories, that is a general artificial intelligence, narrow artificial intelligence, and super artificial intelligence. So super artificial intelligence is yet to reach. We are yet to reach to that point, but narrow and general artificial intelligence are already available, like the YouTube recommendation system, Google search, and ChatGPT, the most famous example of the AI part. And other AI is also present through which you can generate pictures or videos as per your choice. Okay, so okay, again, Madhvi ma'am mentioned one thing: microcontroller is having processor and input-output devices, whereas processor does not have input and output devices. Yeah, you can compare it with that mean as well. There is no issue on that. Each and everything does have a separate unit. Like microcontroller is a combination of all of the thing inside of it. Means I/O controller, ROM, RAM, everything is there inside of it, and it is like a complete computer system compared to the microprocessor. So microprocessor separately requires the input and output processing units and also the RAM, ROM, and other part of the memory like the BIOS and all. But inside the microcontroller, we do have everything. But microcontroller is limited with the small instruction. But apart from the small instruction, if you like to go for the higher calculation, suppose if you are developing any artificial intelligence unit, then you have to rely on the microprocessor. Microcontroller won't help in the artificial intelligence development. Okay, suppose if you are planning to build any humanoid or something like more advanced than this bot and all, then you have to go for the microprocessor. Okay, how to adjust bot means how much it should be. Okay, so it is totally dependent on the user, based on your experience, because we do have the sensors coming from the Chinese market, right? So those sensors are not way too accurate. Those are just like as it is. So you have to like manually tweak it to the point where it is like obstacle LED is coming on, okay, like showing on, and further you have to just reduce it a little to make you help you with the turn off, like the LED obstacle LED will turn off. So that much is enough, I believe. So you have to come up with your own adjustment. Okay. So one more comment we got from the tech tool. For making the robot, we need to attach external devices with the digital I/O pins like IR, array, sensor, and motor driver. Yes, that's true. Yes, I corrected my audio. Okay, X Reggie, Aryan, I believe Aryan is there. So, yes, sir, my robot is doing ringer ringer roses. Okay, I can understand. I asked you to share the video of it once because obviously we are not utilizing the ENA and ENB pin in our robot, right? So maybe because of that reason, it is like running in a full speed and you have to like adjust it. So just record a video of running the bot inside that arena. That's all. If your bot is running inside the arena, it is doing ringer ringer roses or doing anything, it is totally comfortable and okay to go with. Okay. Uh, Madhvi ma'am, again, you asked one question, sir, are you providing AI courses? Yes, XRobotics company through which I'm taking the classes is actually having a like plentiful of courses with them. So you can approach their team members. They will share their link and all after completion of this session today, and you will definitely be guided on that journey. I take the AI courses for the engineering students, so definitely we can arrange something for you as well. Okay, so what is the use of array sensor in the line following robot? That is the good cancer. That is the good question actually. Anjali asked this question. I don't know who she is, but she asked that question. So remember the time when we were like participating in our college times. So that time, this single IR sensor does have no use. No use means this won't be considered in any of the national or international competition. So this one is the first time when ICSE board is organizing a competition, right? And the students are not well aware of the sensors and everything else. So that is the reason they are keeping it very simple for the student to understand the context of this overall journey. But from next year onwards, you are going to see the changes in these kind of competition, like from the board members. Okay, they will definitely come up with the IR sensor array arrangement and everything. So this time they are limited with the small resources, only two sensors. But if I show this two sensor board to any international event or any other places, no, they will throw us out because usually we don't go for it. And there we do use one of the algorithm that is very famous in line following journey, that is called PID controlled bot. PID controlled lines following bot. Okay, so those things are way too ahead of this line following journey. And the thing they are like doing in this competition is like very good, because I can see the future with these students in our campus and other places. This is how we started our journey in robotics and AI, by writing the code for the line follower with two sensors and three sensors or four sensors. And later on, the IR array you have to use, because the reason why we shoot the IR array, because IR array does have a equidistance place sensors in it. Okay, and apart from this path, maybe you've seen the path. Let me show you the path. So they share the path, which does have a very limited things to consider. Okay, their path is not that much complicated. So I'm opening up the path. Okay, so this particular path they shared earlier, right? Let me open the path with the dimension. Okay, fine. So this one is the path they shared earlier. So you can see this one is the simplest path to be considered in this type of competition. And the reason why they gave this particular path, because they wanted to see whether a student is learning the programming part properly or not. That is the condition. Okay, so this one is the simplest path. There is no obstacle, no T junctions, no A start and no end points to like reflect. Even though suppose in this case there is a one problem. Suppose if you are starting your bot from here, like sensor is placed here, then obviously your both of the sensor is going to be placed in the white section only, right? So if you like complete the overall rotation, then your bot won't stop until unless one black line should be there, and both of these sensor will fall into this black line, and we can write the code along with it to like stop the bot, right? So that is the mistake we can say. Maybe they done it with some of the reason, I believe, because superior person are there in the organizing committee. But I believe one mistake is there. They have to like implement this blockage in here, and only the bot will start from the start, and it will stop at the end. So in this case, the board member gave it won't stop, it will run continuous and continuous. So after the like reaching the end point, it will wobble and do anything random, like one of the Aryan said, like their robot were doing the ringa roses kind of stuff. So you will get to see those ringa type of thing in your journey. Okay. Uh, I believe my screen is properly visible. Let me check. Yeah, it is visible. Okay. So I believe you understood the uses of IR sensor array, line with precision. Yeah, use of IR sensor is to follow the line with precision input data using PID controlling algorithm. Yeah, that tech tool. That's true. That's correct actually. And I hope for preliminary round, we don't have to use array sensor. No, you don't have to use the array sensors. If your bot is like completing the arena before 40 seconds, then you are in good condition. You are good to go. You will be selected in the prelims round. If your bot is taking more than 40 seconds and it is like in between 40 to 60 seconds, then you have to worry for the same. Okay. So I believe everyone understood the context so far, right? Average time to reach the path, it totally dependent on your programming part. So if it is below 40, then you will be selected, I believe. 40 is the maximum limit, but this time they will allow maximum number of team to get selected, as each and everyone is starting from the 0 point, right? So they are giving the buffer time and buffer space for everyone to like complete the thing on their own. Okay, so you don't have to worry. This is the first time they are organizing the competition. They will take care of every parameters for the same. Even though if you have attended the boot camp properly on a regular go without interruption, then you will get point out of it. If you submitted each and every questions Google form and the feedback form from your end, then you don't have to worry, because those were the compulsory part, okay, to submit after like a completion of your classes. So okay, fine. So now coming back to the point where we are going to discuss about the programming part, and after that we will come back to the question answer round for one more time. Okay. So now what we do have is the programming. So let me open up my compiler. Okay, fine. So my compiler is now okay, I believe. Let me check. Yes. So I'm just sharing one of the program I do have with me. Okay. So one of the ma'am actually shared this program with me earlier. I will show you the sum of the parts, not the exact thing. Okay, maybe I can go for this. Okay. So first of all, what you have to do is to declare the. Let me share my screen back to the programming part. Okay. Okay, fine. So I'm going to elaborate this program in a effective way or effective mean. You can see. So actually we are defining some of the variables in here. So this name will represent the pin number 12. Okay, and this particular name will represent the pin number 11, and this particular name will represent the speed or the variable number like the 60. Okay, so here we do have like we are calling one more variable in here with this name. It is like reflecting pin number 6. This particular variable is reflecting this pin, and this variable for the right motor, uh, the pin number 8, and for the left motor we are also doing the same. So enabling the left motor with pin number 5, enabling the left motor with pin number 9, and also the second pin of left motor with pin number 10. So inside the setup, as you know well, we have to declare each and everything using the pin mode syntax. So pin mode, instead of this name, you can either write down the pin number directly, that is 12, but for ease of like writing the program, we always try to declare the variables in our journey. Okay, so here what we do have is the configuration of the motor pins as an output. You can see each and every pins were configured as the output device because motor is our output device on. Okay, and apart from this output device, we do have sensors configured as input. You can see IR sensor right configured as input, and IR sensor left configured as input only. And initially we will call the rotate motor function to like keep the motor on the low mode. Means if you like place your board on top of the and on top of the arena, if you turn it on, so for some point of time it will be in stop condition, it won't move, and your bot will not behave that ringa roses. Okay, so now coming to the loop point. So loop is all about a place where we are like inserting each and every command, run it for n number of times or for infinite number of times, right? So loop will help us maintain the repetition in our programming. So we are going to store the values in some of the variables. That is right IR sensor value is the variable where we are going to store the value of the input coming from the right sensor, and left sensor value will store the value coming from the left hand side sensor. Okay, so this is the serial print function to enable the serial monitor in here. I believe you know well. Right now, no board is connected. That is the reason it is showing throwing an error. But if I connect the board, then you will see the value will pop out in the serial monitor. Okay, so now declaring the condition. So we have to use the if statement and else if statement and else statement. Three of these statements we are going to use in this loop section. So if right sensor value is low and left sensor value is low, means both of the sensor are in black. Okay, so I forgot to mention one thing that sometimes what happens, there are two type of sensor present in the market. Okay, so some of the sensor actually reverses the output. So it reverses the output all the time. Suppose in general, if you say like if you place some of the obstacle in front of the IR sensor, then obviously we discussed earlier we are going to get the value 1 or high condition. If there is no obstacle in front of the sensor, then we are going to get 0, that is low condition. This is the type 1 sensor in which comparator actually sorry. So this is the type 1 sensor in which comparator actually omits the same result which is getting by the sensor side. Okay, so we do have type 2 sensor, which is common nowadays, I believe. So what happens actually, if sensor detects something in front of it, then it omits the value 0. Okay, so it reverses the process. If nothing is there in front of the sensor, then it will omit, it will be always on high note. That is the reason I wrote the low and low, because both of the sensor right now in here in white surface. Okay, so if white surface is detected, then what will happen, we will call the straight function, go straight function. Okay, so we will write the motor with the motor speed and motor speed again to move the bot in a forward direction. Okay, otherwise if we are getting high value on right sensor and low value in left sensor, then motor will the bot will take the right. Okay, So we are going for minus motor speed and plus motor speed. Okay. So now else if your right sensor is low and left sensor is high, then obviously it is going to take the left turn by writing the minus motor speed and plus motor speed. Okay, these are the variable names we used earlier, right, in our program. That is why we are just giving a notation on negative and positive on that note. Okay, and here you can see we do have the function declared. So this one is the rotate motor function, in which we call two of the variables, that is right motor speed and left motor speed. You can like declare on your own function for the same for the line following application, and it will work fluently. Okay, so if right speed motor is less than 0, then what will happen? Remember, I mentioned one thing earlier before this class. So we do have this particular board in which we do have this wheel, this caster wheel, right? Two wires coming from this side, two wires coming from this side. So if we supply positive and negative to this one, positive and negative to this one, then what will happen? Motor will start spinning in forward direction, right? So motor will achieve the forward direction. This is the reason to like generate the negative part on one point, we have to feed the low, and to generate the positive part, we have to feed the high value. That is the reason low and high is there on pin number 1 and pin number 2. Okay. So after this, if right motor speed is less than 0, then what will happen? It will reverse the process. It will reverse the process, and further, if both are the low, then it will change the set the direction for the left motor. Okay, and here we do have if left motor speed is less than 0, then what will happen? It will low and high, means it will allow the bot to take the uh, if left hand motor speed is less than 0, then it allow the motor to take the left turn. Okay, otherwise if it is greater, then it will take the right turn. And further, we do have both of the condition low to stop the motor, and here we do have the analog right function through which we are actually controlling the motor. Always remember, the time when you are like attaching the motor in your Arduino board, make sure to utilize the PWM pins. Okay, so let me show you one of the photograph through which you will understand what I'm trying to refer in here. Where is my class reference picture? And here we do have the Arduino board. Okay, let me change my screen once. Okay, so in your Arduino board, you will see some of the input and output pin does have this symbol in front of it. You can see 9, 10, 11, and 6, 5, and 3 does have this symbol in front of it, right? So these are called as PWM pins. Okay, so PWM pins means we are referring to the pulse width modulation pins. I mentioned earlier that the pin number, okay, sorry, modulation pin pulse with modulation. I mentioned earlier that 0 to 13 pin our IO pins, right? IO pins is specifically the digital IO pins. Okay, but as we are controlling the speed of the motor, and we are like throwing like higher value and lower value all the time, because the time when your bot is taking a turn, the bot should slow down, otherwise it will be thrown out from the arena, right? So for that reason, how we can control the speed? So utilizing the PWM pins, and also the combination of analog write function will be utilized to like feed the value in between 0 and 1. That is, analog means we are talking about range between 0 and 1. So it will be declared using the value 0 to 255 approximately. Okay, it's 254 approximately. So total number of combination we can get 255. So maximum you can attain this much of a speed, that is representing the value 1. That is the high condition for the bot to operate. Okay, but make sure to adjust the speed, otherwise high speed also is not good for your bot. Your bot won't be stable enough to like operate in the arena. Okay, so make sure of that. Okay, fine. So now let me come back to the chat section again to take your questions. Okay, and like, should I use a switch? Yes, Aryan. You can choose this switch to like turn on and turn off your bot when it is required. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? Your bot will behave unevenly the time when you need it the most. Okay. So, actually, which type of paper should we use for the path? whether A4 or A3. See, you don't have to like worry about the A4 and A3 paper. Just take 4 pieces of chart paper, combine it to one. Okay, and like cut out the dimension as per the as cut out the same dimension as per the board members. Okay, the PDF file you received, I believe, right? So take the dimension from that particular PDF and cut out the black portion, that is the arena path to be followed, and just paste it on top of the white sheets you do have. Okay, if you cut out the black paper according to the dimension given in the PDF, no, then you will understand how much big size of white paper you do require for the same. Okay, then you will not get the confusion. Okay. Abhishek Pradhan sir, you asked till now what is the minimum time a student have got. So if I tell you that, everyone will be in shock. So let it be as it is. Okay. So minimum is like 6 seconds. Okay. Minimum is 6 seconds. So like one motor is speed and the other one is kind of slow. Okay, so you have to adjust the ENA and ENB. Then only it will work. Okay, you have to do the connection for the ENA and ENB. Sir, should we use the sensor input in analog pins? You can use it. You can use it. So from 0 to pin number 13, 0 to 13 is advisable, but either you can use the analog pins for the same, because that thing also works. There will be no issue on that. Okay. Take two again said both motor speeds should same, then but will move forward direction or bot will rotate itself in one point, means it will not work properly. Yeah, that's true. As I said, some of the loopholes are there in this arena and the program itself. So you have to come up with your solution, because this one is the prelims round, you have to qualify it, right? Switch you can use if you want to control manually, it recommend, but what should stop depends on the program at the end of the part. That's true. Okay, okay, fine. Just make sure the motor is with through program. But you said we don't need to put ENA pin. Yeah, see, it's totally dependent on you. If you are not using the ENA and ENB pin, then your motor will attain the highest speed or maximum speed. Okay, if you use the ENA and ENB, then you can control the speed of the motors. That's all. That is the common difference. So if you would like to like complete the arena in very minimum possible time, then you should avoid using the ENA and ENB. You should make it on a high note. But yes, the time the bot will take the turn, it will create the complication in the process. Okay, so you have to like do the experiment, come up with your own situation to solve. Okay, in any case, if you find any difficulties to like go for the assembly and all, you can ping us in the group we do have, the All India Robotics and AI group. You can ping in there and I will clarify it accordingly. Okay, so I'm concluding this session for now. I believe everyone understood the overall context. If you do have any questions with you, you can place it inside the chat box so that I can answer it accordingly. Okay, fine. Anyone else? Anyone do have any question from your side? Then you can ask. I can clarify those in this session. If anyone and do have any of the questions, then you can ask it as per your requirements. Okay. Either after the completion of this session, you can ping your question and all through the chat section or WhatsApp group. You can like ping your question in the WhatsApp group, and I will love to like connect back with you and clarify those from our end. I hope you learned something good today, and everyone, I believe, enjoyed this session with me. Okay, next time I will try to bring the bot and I will show you how to like run it in the arena, and further we will see the miracles of this line following journey. Okay, so it totally depends on you. So. And Sissy sir, am thankful to like see you in here. You are the great personality in here. Thank you, sir, for appreciation. Yeah, Raggy Aryan, I will teach the Python programming later on. Okay, first complete this prelims part. That is most important thing you have to do. Okay, we will focus on that one when it is needed. Sir, what is Sir, is PID needed? No, PID is not required. So this one is the basic, we can say the basic arena they gave, right? So if you use the PID algorithm and all, no, so it will complicate the process. That's all. So you don't have to worry about the PID algorithm for now. A simple program can do the task. You just have to make sure that your bot covers the entire and in a less time, like for below 40 seconds. Then you will be there in a list after the prelims submission. Okay. And if you can further reduce the time, then I believe you will be lucky enough to get appreciation from the board member, because they are monitoring each and everything done by the team members. Okay, they are monitoring the progress, they are monitoring the active participation in the boot camp program. They were done all of the research in the schools, like how much they are engaged. So everything does have a points in it. So make sure to submit the entire feedback and all throughout the journey. Okay, and we do have we shared our feedback form in the chat section of our YouTube channel, so you can just click on that and help me with the feedback of yours. If you would like to have more insights and more content related solution, then you can ping us back in your groups. Okay, so I'm concluding this session for now. Thank you everyone for joining it, and I'm thankful for each and every response in the chat section. So thank you everyone. Have a great day. Bye bye.